So my initial intention was to speak to you tonight about an alarming trend in the opera world, where directors are becoming overly concerned with the visual aspects of opera, sometimes at the expense of the vocal product. Then a very good friend pointed out that many of you probably just don't care. See, it's pointless to have a dialogue about what part of opera is more important and what's causing its demise if we can't agree as a society that opera is something that's worth preserving and something worth supporting. The loss of the Baltimore Opera Company was a huge blow to this city. From the thousands of people that lost money on their ticket sales to the hundreds of employees that are now without work. And I think most tragically, to those of you in the room tonight that might not have experienced world-class grand opera in your own backyard, this one's to make sure you're still paying attention. And to let you know that you still have options in town. Baltimore Concert Opera, American Opera Theater, Opera Vivente all offer really unique, smaller scale takes on what makes opera special. So why do I care and why do I want you to care? I want to tell you the story about a skinny, mullet-headed Catholic high school boy with dreams of becoming a famous heavy metal guitar player. Through a series of dares and weird events and strange twists in the road, and a great desire to get out of math class, Mullet Boy ended up on a vocal scholarship in New Orleans. And it wasn't until 2 years later that he saw his first opera, which was Wagner's Tannhäuser. For those of you not in the know, this is pretty heavy shit. I mean, and what blew him away was all the work that went into this performance, the orchestra, the singing, the sets, all to bring this 150-year-old piece of music to life. And why? Why all this effort? Well, because it was awesome. So Mullet Man packed away his guitar for a career in opera, and his older brothers liked to point out that the common thread of tights and makeup might be to blame. But we know that there's more than that. Another interesting parallel is that success in both realms, in heavy metal and opera, it both means a life on the road. And Baltimore Opera presented a great opportunity for some like myself to have the best of both worlds, a chance to perform and a chance for a home life, until we lost that company in 2009. Now, some friends and I got upset and we started Baltimore Concert Opera, which was kind of like an Irish wake for the opera company at first. And we sold out 2 shows very quickly on a $17 budget. And we really felt like we could do no wrong. Everything we touched was going to turn to gold. And then the cold, hard reality set in that, this wasn't going to be as easy as we thought. The minute the media stopped pairing us with the demise of that company, which was the story, then the phone stopped ringing and sales started to slow and costs went way up. Now costs, that's a big dilemma in the opera world, because rarely will you have a performance where the money coming in will support the product. So the obvious question there is, has opera run its course? Should we just let it die? And my response is a resounding no, because it's very difficult for me to talk to you about why opera should be saved, because I love it too much. I can't speak rationally about it. But I can talk to you a little bit about the how. See, I don't think that opera is losing its relevance. I think that we, as an industry, are losing our ability to reach you and overcome some objections and some preconceived notions. And, I'm one guy and I've only got 87 more seconds, so I'm going to dispel a couple of the myths for you right now. The fat lady in horns, she's only in 3 or 4 operas, and when she sings, it's really beautiful. All right, the tickets are not nearly as expensive as tickets to a Ravens game, and our beers are half the price. You do have to have a little bit of suspension of disbelief when you go to the opera, but what I think is really going to move you if you go is seeing normal people doing extraordinary things with their voices. So we've dispelled a few myths, we've overcome some objections. We do need to talk about the business model, which inherently loses money. I think gone are the days when we can have 1 or 2 donors giving millions and millions of dollars to support this. We need a Big Ten approach. We need to open up the club a little bit and say, I think we can save opera 1 ticket and 1 $10 donation at a time, but we need your help. Now, there are some great upcoming events here in Baltimore. I encourage you to take this information and go out and try some things. One thing that was resurrected from the auction block at the Baltimore Opera auction was the domain name that a friend of mine repurposed, and it's now a great resource for those of you that might want to find out more about opera. So check it out. There's some great discounts and a lot of information. And finally, if you haven't figured it out, in saving opera one voice at a time, the voice that we need is yours. We need you to come. We need you to talk about it, tweet about it, do what you do. And if you go to any of these 3 companies, my gift to you for listening to me for 5 minutes is $10 off at one of their next shows.